Thanks for tuning in. The 1960s are widely considered the golden years of muscle cars, and Chevy is one of the automakers that built some of the most iconic cars at that time. In this episode, we'll review the quickest Chevy muscle cars from 1967. Stay tuned and be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as we get into the countdown. Number 15. Chevy Bel Air 327 Turbo Fire, 7.8 seconds. The 1967 Bel Air was designed to bridge the gap between practical, family-oriented vehicles and high-performance machines that could compete in drag races or on the street. The 1967 Bel Air boasted a wide and low body profile that contributed to relative stability at high speeds. Under the hood was the 327 cubic inch V8 Turbo Fire small block. This engine featured cast iron construction, a robust crankshaft, and a well-designed cooling system. It produced 300 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque, and was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that helped the car pull from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 7.8 seconds. Number 14. Biscayne 327, 7.6 seconds. The 1967 Biscayne with the 327 V8 Turbo Fire was designed to appeal to drivers who wanted a no-frills car. This model was often chosen by police departments, fleets, or racers who were more interested in performance than luxury. The car's boxy shape and large body produced substantial drag, but its wide stance and long wheelbase provided stability. Under the hood was the 327 cubic inch V8 Turbo Fire engine that featured a cast iron block and forged steel crankshaft. The engine produced 300 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that helped the car move from a standstill to 60 miles per hour in 7.6 seconds. Number 13. Impala SS396, 7.1 seconds. The 1967 Chevy Impala SS396 was aimed at car enthusiasts who wanted a powerful car with both style and luxury. The car featured a more streamlined, fastback style, making it more aerodynamic than its predecessors. Its independent front suspension with coil springs and live rear axle with coil springs at the back offered a balance between ride comfort and handling performance. Under the hood was a 396 cubic inch V8, also known as the Turbojet 396. This big block V8 featured a cast iron block, forged steel crankshaft, and hydraulic lifters. The 396 produced 375 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque, and was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission, which enabled the car to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 7.1 seconds. Number 12. Chevy Bel Air 396, 7 seconds. The 1967 Bel Air with the 396 V8 Turbojet was a formidable machine capable of competing in the races. The Bel Air's long hood and relatively streamlined body allowed it to cut through the air more effectively than previous models, while its wide stance and low planted body gave the car a stable feel on the road. Under the hood was a 396 cubic inch V8 Turbojet engine featuring a cast iron block, forged steel crankshaft, and hydraulic lifters. This engine produced 375 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that helped the car pull from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 7 seconds flat. Number 11. Biscayne 396 Turbojet, 6.9 seconds. The 67 Biscayne with the 396 Turbojet is known for its no-frills, basic design, which made it a sleeper. Its long wheelbase and wide track gave it excellent straight-line stability, which was key for drag racing and high-speed driving on highways. The car featured an independent front suspension with coil springs and a live rear axle with coil springs, similar to other full-size Chevy models. This setup provided a comfortable ride while still offering decent handling for a car of its size. Under the hood was the 396 cubic inch engine featuring a cast iron block, forged steel crankshaft, and hydraulic lifters. This engine produced 375 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.9 seconds. Number 10. Camaro Z28, 6.8 seconds. In 1967, Chevy introduced the Camaro Z28 to compete in the Sports Car Club of America Trans Am Series. It was designed to challenge the dominant Ford Mustang at the time. The car's short, wide body and sloping roofline helped it cut through the air more efficiently than many of its competitors. Its suspension featured coil springs on the front and a solid rear axle with multi-leaf springs, which improved handling. Under the hood was a 302 cubic inch V8 that featured a forged steel crankshaft, solid lifters, high-flow cylinder heads, and a high-performance camshaft. It was rated at 290 horsepower and 290 pound-feet of torque, but in reality it produced closer to 400 horsepower. The 1967 Camaro Z28 had a 4-speed manual transmission, which helped it accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.8 seconds. Number 9. Chevy Nova SS 6.5 seconds. In 1967, Chevy positioned the Nova SS, a budget-friendly option for drivers seeking speed without the size or expense of full-size muscle cars like the Camaro or Chevelle. The Super Sport package transformed the Nova into a true muscle car, especially when paired with Chevy's powerful 327 V8. The 1967 Nova SS small size and relatively lightweight body allowed it to handle air resistance better than larger muscle cars. Its suspension was more basic compared to larger performance cars, but well suited to the car's lighter weight. Its 327 cubic inch small block V8 featured a cast iron block, hydraulic lifters, and a 4-barrel carburetor, which enabled it to produce 350 horsepower and 355 pound-feet of torque. This engine was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to move from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.5 seconds. Number 8. Chevy Bel Air 427 V8, 6.5 seconds. The 1967 Bel Air 427 V8 turbojet was a respectable sleeper of the 60s. This car featured a boxy wide-body design that created significant drag at higher speeds, but its wide stance and long wheelbase helped compensate by providing stability. It featured an independent front suspension with coil springs and a live rear axle with coil springs, which provided a comfortable ride for everyday driving. Under the hood was the 427 cubic inch V8 that produced 425 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to reach 60 miles per hour in 6.5 seconds. If you haven't already yet, please like and subscribe to our channel, which really helps us to create more episodes. Number 7. Malibu SS396, 6.2 seconds. In 1967, Chevy offered an SS performance package for the Malibu that helped it compete against the Pontiac GTO, Ford Mustang, and Dodge Charger as a second-generation model of the Chevelle line. The Malibu SS396 featured the same sleek, curvaceous body as other Chevelles, with a long, low profile and a wide stance. Its wide track and low center of gravity provided stability during fast driving, making it a capable car both on the street and on the drag strip. The Malibu SS396 had an independent front suspension with coil springs and a solid rear axle with coil springs in the rear that provided a good balance between comfort and handling. Its heavy-duty shocks and front anti-roll bars also improved handling by reducing body roll during cornering. Under the hood was a 396 cubic inch big block V8 with a cast iron block forged steel crankshaft, high-flow cylinder heads, and a 4-barrel carburetor. This engine produced 375 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that helped the car move from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6.2 seconds. Number 6. Impala SS427, 6.2 seconds. The 1967 Chevy Impala SS427 was a full-size muscle car that combined Chevy's top-tier luxury with high-performance engineering. It featured sleek, long lines and a wide stance, giving it a streamlined appearance for a full-size car. The front suspension featured independent coil springs, while the rear used a solid axle with coil springs. It also included heavy-duty shocks and springs to handle the extra weight and power of the 427 V8. Under the hood was a 427 cubic inch big block V8 with a cast iron block, high-flow cylinder heads, and a 4-barrel carburetor. This engine produced 425 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to move from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6.2 seconds. Number 5. Chevelle SS396, 6.1 seconds. The 1967 Chevelle SS396 was designed for enthusiasts who wanted a powerful car with classic muscle car aesthetics and an engaging driving experience to compete with Ford and Plymouth models. The car's muscular, aggressive design was characterized by its long hood, short rear deck, and wide stance. Its suspension system was performance-tuned to deliver a balance of comfort and handling, featuring an independent front suspension with coil springs and a solid rear axle with multi-leaf springs. Under the hood was a 396 cubic inch big block V8 featuring high-flow cylinder heads and a 4-barrel carburetor. The engine produced 375 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission, which enabled the car to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6.1 seconds. Number 4. Biscayne 427, 6 seconds. The 1967 Biscayne 427 V8 turbojet was designed for buyers who wanted a powerful engine in an unassuming package, making it a true sleeper in the automotive world. The Biscayne featured a classic full-size sedan design characterized by its long hood and roomy interior. Its larger dimensions contributed to a solid feel on the road, making it stable during acceleration. It featured an independent front suspension with coil springs and a live rear axle with multi-leaf springs. This setup, combined with heavy-duty shocks, allowed it to handle the added performance without compromising ride quality. Under the hood was the 427 cubic inch V8 featuring high-flow cylinder heads and a 4-barrel carburetor. This engine produced 425 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to pull from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6 seconds flat. Number 3. Corvette Stingray L88, 5.5 seconds. The Corvette Stingray was developed as part of Chevy's ambition to create a world-class sports car that could compete with European rivals. The 1967 Corvette Stingray featured a distinctive fiberglass body with sleek aerodynamic lines that not only contributed to its striking appearance, but also improved performance. Its low profile and wide stance helped reduce drag and increase stability at high speeds, making it a capable performer on both the road and track. Under the hood was a formidable 427 cubic inch V8 engine, known as the L88. This engine featured a forged steel crankshaft, high-compression aluminum cylinder heads, and a 4-barrel Holley carburetor. It was officially rated at 435 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, but many car enthusiasts believe that its actual horsepower was closer to 500. The 427 was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to move from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 5.5 seconds. Number 2. Camaro SS396, 5.4 seconds. The 1967 Camaro was developed in response to the rising popularity of punny cars like the Ford Mustang. The car's aggressive appearance was contributed to by its classic muscle car design, which included a long hood, short rear deck, and wide stance. Its suspension system was tuned to provide a good balance between ride quality and handling. Under the hood was a powerful 396 cubic inch V8 engine featuring high-flow cylinder heads and a 4-barrel carburetor. It produced 375 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque, and was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission. Number 1. Yanko Super Camaro, 4.7 seconds. The 1967 Chevy Yanko Super Camaro was developed as a result of a partnership between Chevy and the renowned Yanko Chevrolet dealership in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. The Yanko Super Camaro retained the classic Camaro design, characterized by its long hood and aggressive stance. It featured an independent front suspension with coil springs and a multi-leaf rear suspension, similar to the standard Camaro but with performance-tuned components. Under the hood was the monstrous 427 cubic inch V8 engine featuring aluminum cylinder heads, a 4-barrel Holley carburetor, and a robust intake manifold. This engine was rated at around 425 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, though many enthusiasts believed it produced even more. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to pull from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4.7 seconds. Thanks for watching today's episode. Which of these muscle cars is your favorite? Let us know in the comments section below. Also, if you haven't already yet, please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to click the like button and hit the bell icon to be notified when we release new episodes.